Say something nice about your mother for once, Lizzie. Marian Gold smiled as she said it, but her fingers tightened around the microphone like a warning. The banquet room laughed softly, waiting for me to play along. I sat near the back table, half hidden behind a centerpiece of white lilies and gold balloons that said, "Happy Retirement, Maranne. 35 years of service, 35 years of respect, 35 years of building a name that everyone in that room treated like a crown." Then my mother turned fully toward me. "And of course this is my daughter, Lizzie," she said, her voice warm enough to fool strangers. "No career, no ambition, just living off everyone else." The whole room laughed. My brother Aaron looked down at his plate. My aunt lifted her phone higher to record. Someone near the bar muttered, "Poor Marian, she's carried that girl forever." I didn't move. I only looked at the bracelet glittering on my mother's wrist, the one I bought. Then at the event coordinator standing by the wall, holding the final dinner invoice, the one on my card. Then at the hospital board chairman near the front table, who wasn't laughing at all. Marian tilted her head. "Oh, don't look so wounded, sweetheart. Everyone knows you're sensitive." Maury laughter. I stood. The sound thinned at once, like someone had lowered the volume on the room. Marian's smile sharpened. "Lizzie, sit down." I picked up my glass. For a second, every face turned toward me. Former co-workers, relatives, neighbors, people who knew my mother as disciplined, generous, self-sacrificing, people who knew me only through the version of my life she had fed them. I smiled back at her. "Enjoy tonight," I said. "It's the last time you'll ever see me." Then I set the glass down, turned, and walked toward the exit. No one laughed this time. Behind me, Marian tried to recover. "She's always been dramatic," she said into the microphone, but her voice cracked on the last word. I reached the banquet room doors, just as her phone lit up on the podium. The screen was facing the front row. The hospital board chairman saw it first. His expression changed. Then Marian looked down. The message preview glowed across her screen. "Urgent compliance investigation reopened." The hallway outside the banquet room was colder than the room behind me. The laughter faded as the doors swung shut, replaced by the low hum of the elevator and the clink of dishes from the service entrance. I had almost reached the elevator when the doors behind me burst open. "Lizzie." My mother's voice was no longer sweet. I kept walking. "Elizabeth Gold, don't you dare walk away from me tonight." I stopped with my finger hovering over the elevator button. Marian came toward me in her silver retirement dress, smiling only because 2 waiters were passing with trays. The second they disappeared around the corner, her face changed. "What was that?" she whispered. "Are you trying to embarrass me?" I turned slowly. "You called me lazy in front of 80 people." "It was a joke." "No," I said, "it was a performance." Her eyes flashed. "You always do this. You take one little comment and turn it into a wound." "One little comment." "You came tonight because I asked you to act normal for one evening," she snapped. "One evening, Lizzie, after everything I've done for you." I looked at the banquet doors. Behind them were people eating food I had paid for while laughing at the lie that I lived off her. "You told everyone I had no career," I said. Her chin lifted. "And what career should I have announced?" I almost answered. I almost said the name of my company. Almost told her exactly why the hospital chairman had gone pale when that email came in. Almost reminded her who made the last 8 mortgage payments when she cried over the phone and said she was too proud to ask anyone else. Instead, I said, "The truth would have been enough." Marian stepped closer. "The truth? You want the truth? You moved back into my house after college because you couldn't handle the real world. You asked me to come home because you said you were sick." Her mouth tightened. "And because the mortgage was 2 months behind." "Lower your voice. There's no one here." "There are always people listening," she hissed. That was my mother, not sorry that she lied, afraid someone might hear the correction. The elevator dinged behind me, but I didn't step in. She glanced toward the banquet room, then back at me. "Did you talk to anyone tonight?" I stared at her. "About what?" Her answer came too quickly. About family. No, you mean about the hospital. For the first time all night, she had no practiced line ready. Her fingers went to the bracelet on her wrist, turning it once. I don't know what you're implying. You do. The banquet doors opened again and Aaron stepped out. My brother looked annoyed, not concerned. Lizzie, come on, he said. Just apologize so Mom can finish her night. I laughed once quietly. She humiliated me. She made a joke. Don't make this bigger than it is. I looked at him. You really think I'm the one making it bigger? Aaron rubbed his forehead. Mom's retirement matters more than your feelings tonight. That landed harder than my mother's insult. Because Aaron had no idea the loan that saved his failed landscaping business had come from me. He thought Marion had arranged it. Marion had let him think that. My mother folded her arms, sensing him on her side. See, even your brother understands. I reached into my purse and pulled out my key ring. Marion's expression shifted. I slid one key off slowly. The brass house key, her house, the house she told everyone she let me stay in out of pity, the house I had kept out of foreclosure. I placed it on the narrow hallway table, beside a vase of fake orchids. What are you doing? She asked. Leaving properly. Aaron frowned. Lizzie, stop being dramatic. I pressed the elevator button again. Marion looked at the key like it was something dangerous. You'll be back, she said, but it sounded less certain than before. The elevator doors opened. I stepped inside. Just before they closed, Marion's voice slipped through, sharp and afraid. What exactly did you do? Marion returned to the banquet room alone. The applause she expected did not come. The room had changed while she was gone. People were no longer leaning back with wine glasses and easy smiles. They were bent over phones, whispering across tables, watching the front of the room where her phone still sat beside the microphone. The hospital board chairman, Mr. Calloway, stood near the podium with his own phone in his hand. Marion forced a laugh. Well, I apologize for that little interruption. Some children never outgrow needing attention. No one laughed this time. She reached for the microphone, but Mr. Calloway stepped closer and lowered his voice. Not enough. Marion, have you retained counsel? The words moved through the room faster than any toast could have. My Aunt Celia stopped recording. Aaron, who had followed Marion back inside, looked from Mr. Calloway to our mother. Counsel, for what? Marion's smile stayed on her face, but the muscles around it tightened. This is not the place. That email went to the board, Mr. Calloway said, and legal. A former department head at table 3 whispered, I thought her retirement was early. Another answered, they said she chose to leave. Marion lifted the microphone. Everyone, please, there's clearly been a misunderstanding with an old administrative matter. Old, Mr. Calloway asked. Her eyes cut toward him. The room saw it. Aaron stepped forward. Mom, what's going on? Marion turned on him with that same soft, dangerous voice she had used on me. Nothing you need to concern yourself with. But why would legal send you? Because people love dragging successful women down, she said quickly, louder now, making sure the room heard. Especially when they have unstable family members feeding drama behind the scenes. That was when I appeared again in the doorway. I hadn't left the building. I had gone to the coat check desk, where the event coordinator had been holding a sealed envelope for me since before dinner began. Marion saw it in my hand. Her face drained. She raised the microphone again, desperate. This is exactly what I mean. Lizzie has struggled for years. She can't handle seeing me honored tonight, so now she's acting out. A few people turned toward me, but the laughter did not return. From the back of the room, a young woman stood. Nina, Marion snapped, sit down. Nina didn't. She was one of the hospital's junior compliance employees, someone Marion had barely acknowledged during the slideshow. Her voice shook, but she kept it clear. Lizzie isn't unstable. Marion's eyes narrowed. You don't know my daughter. I know her from a confidential compliance meeting, Nina said. The room went still. Mr. Calloway looked at me. Aaron's mouth opened slightly. Compliance, Lizzie. Marian stepped away from the podium as if she could physically block the words from spreading. She wasn't involved. She couldn't be. That sentence landed wrong. Not like a mother defending the truth. Like a woman denying a possibility she had feared for months. I walked down the aisle between the tables. No one stopped me. No one spoke. The same people who had laughed at me 15 minutes earlier now watched the envelope in my hand like it might decide who Marian really was. When I reached the podium, Marian clutched the microphone. "Don't," she whispered. I looked at the bracelet on her wrist one last time. Then I took the microphone from her hand and opened the envelope. Marian lunged for the microphone. Mr. Calloway stopped her with one quiet step between us. It was not dramatic. He didn't grab her. He didn't raise his voice. He simply moved in front of her, and for the first time all night, Marian Gold was not the most powerful person in the room. "Let her speak," he said. Marian's lips parted, but nothing came out. I unfolded the first page from the envelope and laid it flat on the podium. "I'm not here to discuss hospital files," I said. "That is already with the proper people." Mr. Calloway's eyes sharpened. Marian exhaled like she had survived something. Then I placed the second page beside the first. "But I am going to correct what my mother said about me tonight." Aaron stepped closer. "Lizzie, what is that?" "Receipts." I looked at him, then at the room. "My mother told you I had no job, no ambition, and lived off her. So here are the last 8 mortgage payments on her house." A murmur spread across the tables. Marian's voice came out thin. "That is private." "So was humiliating me," I said. I placed another page down. "This is the deposit for tonight's retirement dinner, paid by me." The event coordinator, standing near the wall, looked at the invoice in her hands and then at Marian. Aunt Celia lowered her phone completely. I added another paper. "This is the payment for the bracelet she wore tonight." Marian's hand moved instinctively to her wrist. Someone near the front whispered, "She said Lizzie didn't work." Aaron stared at the pages, as if the numbers might rearrange themselves into something easier. "Mom," he said, "is this true?" Marian turned on him. "Do not start questioning me in public." "That's not an answer." Her face hardened. "Your sister has always twisted kindness into accusation." I took out the final document from the envelope. "No," I said, "I twisted nothing. I just stopped letting you use my silence as proof." I placed the document on top of the others. "This morning I closed the joint emergency account." Marian's eyes widened. There it was. Not shame, not regret. Fear. Aaron looked between us. "What account?" "The one Mom insisted I keep open for family emergencies," I said. "The one she told me made me a good daughter." Marian stepped forward. "You had no right. I was the only one funding it." Her voice dropped into a whisper meant only for me, but the microphone caught it. "You can't do that to your own mother." I looked at her, and this time I did lower my voice. "You told them I had nothing, so from tonight on that's exactly what you get from me." The room went silent. Then Mr. Calloway picked up his phone, glanced at the legal email again, and looked directly at me. "Ms. Gold," he said, "is your company connected to the reopened investigation?" Marian froze. Aaron turned slowly toward me. Every person in that room waited for the answer my mother had spent years making, sure no one would ask. I looked at Marian's, then at the microphone in my hand. "Yes," I said, "and my mother knows why." Marian's hand gripped the edge of the podium. "No," she said, "Lizzie, don't." I looked at her, then at the room that had laughed when she told them I was hopeless. "I won't discuss confidential case details here," I said, "but I will tell the truth about who I am." Mr. Calloway lowered his phone slowly. Aaron stared at me like he was seeing a stranger. "My name is Lizzie Gold," I said. "I am the founder and CEO of Goldline Integrity Systems." A few people exchanged looks. Nina's eyes dropped to the floor, like she already knew exactly where this was going. "We build compliance software for healthcare networks," I continued. "Billing review, approval tracking, reimbursement flags. the kind of system that notices when patterns don't match the story people write in reports. Marian's face went grey under the banquet lights. 3 years ago, I said. My mother told people I had failed after college and moved home because I couldn't survive on my own. The truth is, I moved back because she called me crying and said she was sick, overwhelmed, and close to losing the house. Erin's voice cracked. The house. I nodded once. The mortgage was behind, then there were medical bills, credit cards, then your business loan. His eyes narrowed in confusion. Mom helped me with that. No, I said, I did. Erin looked at Marian. You said that money came from your retirement savings. Marian whispered, this is not the time. It was never the time, I said. That was the problem. I touched the stack of receipts on the podium. I stayed quiet because she was my mother. I let her tell people I was struggling because she said it protected her dignity. She told me no one needed to know our private business. So I paid, and she smiled in public, and I became the failure in every story she told. Aunt Celia put her phone face down on the table. No one reached for their wine. I turned toward Mr. Calloway. When Goldline's audit tools were brought into your network's review process, they flagged irregular billing approvals across departments my mother supervised. I warned her privately before anything became public. I told her to cooperate, correct what could be corrected, and stop pretending this was a paperwork issue. Marian shook her head. I did nothing criminal. I didn't say you did, I replied. I said you knew there was a problem, and instead of helping fix it, you blamed subordinates, pressured me to stay silent, and kept using my money while telling everyone I was living off yours. Mr. Calloway stepped back from Marian. That movement broke something in the room. For 35 years, people had moved toward my mother, to congratulate her, to consult her, to protect her. Now the chairman moved away. Marian, he said carefully, from this point forward we should communicate through counsel. Her eyes filled, but even then she looked more angry than hurt. She turned to me in front of everyone, voice trembling just enough to sound wounded. Lizzie, she said, I'm your mother. For a second the room waited for that sentence to work. It always had before. I looked at the woman who had taught me that love meant silence, loyalty meant money, and family meant letting her decide who I was. That used to be the reason I protected you, I said. Tonight it became the reason I stopped. Erin sat down hard in the nearest chair. I called you lazy, he murmured. I didn't answer. His face said he had already heard himself. Nina stood near the back wall, arms folded tightly, watching Marian without blinking. The event coordinator quietly removed the final invoice from Marian's folder and placed it beside my receipts. Marian reached for the papers. Mr. Calloway stopped her. Don't touch those, he said. That was when the retirement dinner ended. Not with applause. Not with a toast. With chairs scraping back, guests leaving in low voices, and Marian standing beneath a banner with her name on it, while no one knew whether to look at her or look away. The aftermath came quickly. By Monday morning, the hospital removed Marian's tribute video from its website. By Wednesday, the glowing farewell article was replaced with a short notice about an administrative review. Former co-workers who had filled her evening with praise stopped returning her calls. The family group chat went silent after Erin wrote one message. Lizzie paid for more than we knew. No one replied. Marian lost access to the emergency account that same week. Her calls came first as demands, then accusations, then tearful messages about family. I listened to one. You didn't have to ruin me, she said. I deleted it before the voicemail finished. Because I hadn't ruined her. I had only stopped funding the version of herself she sold to everyone else. I never moved back into her house. The key stayed on that hallway table exactly where I left it. 2 months later, an industry profile published my name for the first time beside my company. Lizzie Gold, founder and CEO of Goldline Integrity Systems. No mention of lazy. No mention of hopeless. No mention of living off anyone. The morning it came out, I stood in the glass conference room of my own office while my team gathered around the table. Nina had joined us by then, sitting near the end with a notebook open and a nervous smile. My phone buzzed once. Marian's. I turned it face down. Then I looked at the people waiting for me to speak, people who knew exactly who I was because they had watched me build it. Let's begin, I said. And for the first time in my life, I did not have to prove who I was to anyone who had already decided not to see me.